Hey guys, my name is Madison Gadencio. I'm in 8th grade from GLCPS, and today I'm going to talk about a book I read called The Nightingale by Kristin. This is the second time that I am recording this video because I somehow seemed to delete the first one that I did. That was much better than the one that I'm going to be recording right now. I just wanted to put my frustration out there so everyone can know. I bet no one cares, but it's whatever. Also, before I jump into my review of the book, I want to say that I'm going to be talking about a lot on how much I adored this book. I'm probably going to say love a lot during this review. Just bear with me, okay? I was about to say how good it is right now, but I'm gonna hold myself back. World War II books have always been a favorite of mine to read, and The Nightingale has definitely been the best World War II book that I've read by far. So the book takes place in Nazi-occupied France with two polar opposite sisters, Isabelle and Vianne. Isabelle is a young adult in the story who feels that she needs to be a part of the war and help somehow, but she's definitely rebellious a lot during the beginning and the middle of the book. And Vianne, on the other hand, she is just a mellow countryside school teacher just trying to figure out how to deal with the war and how to survive without her husband, who gets sent off to fight in the war. She has to figure out how to be an independent mother for her daughter. Vienna is also a rule follower. She wants nothing to do with the Nazis that are invading France, and there's a Nazi that belays at her house, and she wants nothing to do with them. She just does what she's told, and she doesn't question anything about it. In the beginning of the book, Isabelle doesn't know what she wants to be a part of. She doesn't know where she's going to go. She knows she doesn't want to stay with her father or with her sister Vianne in the countryside. She wants to go help her country, and she's just confused at first, but she does end up joining a rebellion and saves countless people. So basically, the story revolves around how the two sisters cope with the war. They both have their different ways of coping with it. They definitely change as a person at the end of the book because of what they went through in the war. Isabelle and Vianne definitely discovered themselves in the time of destruction and death, and like I said, you read that throughout the book. I also found that this book was very descriptive, in my opinion. There was one scene specifically where Isabelle was in a car with a family of 5, and they were fleeing from France when Nazis were starting to invade France. So she was in that car with them. It was hot, and there's just so much detail written into that part, which I thought was really cool. But there's a lot of detail throughout the whole story that makes it feel like you're actually there. Also, character development, I feel, was a big part of the story. The author did an amazing job on this. You read how Vianne and Isabelle change and develop so much as a person during the war, and it's just so cool to read about. It was definitely interesting to read about, to say the least, and character development, I believe, is a big part of the story because it was just so good. Isabelle started off as this self-centered, selfish young woman, but she matured into a well-minded young adult, and she was so selfless at the end of the book. You could definitely tell that she developed as an individual. But I also find that Vianne developed a lot more as a person than Isabelle did. Isabelle already knew what she wanted to do with her life during the war, and Vianne was confused, but Vianne definitely had more character development than Isabelle did because she finally realized what she should be fighting for, which I thought was better than Isabelle's story, but I still love both sides of it. I also enjoyed reading this book because it was the woman's side of the war. I feel like not a lot of books enlighten the topic of what women went through back at home during World War II while their husbands, fathers, brothers are out fighting for their country. And personally, I haven't read a lot of books that cover the woman's part of the war, but this book definitely is a different side to World War II, and I feel people need to read it because it's just a different perspective of things in the war, and I really enjoyed reading that perspective of the war. One thing I disliked about this book is that you read that Isabel saves these British airmen by bringing them across these treacherous mountains, and it's a difficult journey that we read about, but the author never gives any insight to the readers about what Isabel goes through on the way back. So I just feel like that's something that the author could have written in, but they never did. And it would have been nice to get some kind of an idea what it was like for her to come back. I know it would kind of be like the same scenario, but it would have just been nice to read about it. I also feel like there were some characters in this book that were underrated. One character specifically is the Nazi that belays at Vianne's house, the first Nazi. His name is Captain Beck, and you read that he has a family, and I also think he was just a good guy in a bad situation. You could tell that he didn't want to be there. He was uncomfortable. He was really respectful towards Vianne and her daughter while he was staying there. He never overstepped or anything like that. He wasn't rude. And I just feel like they could have added more detail for him about his family or anything like that. But there was just a lot of potential there that the author never wrote in. So that was a dislike I had about the book. So my favorite part of the book would have to be the ending of the book. I should also add that throughout the Nightingale, there were some chapters that were brought to 1995, and it was the perspective of one of the sisters, but it's not told which sister it is, but you learn that at the end of the book. And at the end of the book, it's in 1995 again, and one of the sisters goes to a World War II reunion for the Nightingale back in France. And she reunites with someone that she lost at the end of the war, and you read when they get separated at the end of the war that they have such this emotional tight bond. And when they just got reunited at the end of the book, I was sobbing. I was sobbing throughout the last 5 chapters of the book. I'm probably exaggerating. Probably not 5, but at least 3 or 2. The last 3 or 2 chapters of the book. Because it was just so emotional. This book was so emotional throughout. World War II is such an emotional topic for many people. So this book definitely was something that made me cry. And if you don't like emotional, sad books or anything like that, don't go reading this book. Because you're going to cry. And if you don't want to cry, just don't read it. Save yourself and don't read it. But if you want to witness a great book on World War II, and if you want to cry for whatever reason, then you can go read the book. So yeah, the sister gets reunited with one of her long lost loved ones, and it's just really sad to read about. It was just really depressing for me. And there was this other scene that I want to talk about, but I'm probably gonna spoil it. But if you want spoilers from me, just come talk to me. I will spoil the whole book for you. I have no issue with that. But yeah. There was another scene specifically that also made me cry even more at the end of the book. The end was just a really tough part to read. Not because it was choppy or anything like that, it's because the author wrote it so good that I had to read it multiple times to register what I was reading because I was sobbing over all of these pages. I also like how there was some parts of romance thrown into this book of destruction and war. This book, I definitely wouldn't claim it as a romance book. It's definitely not a romance book. I just like how they had little touches of romance here and there throughout the book. I thought that made the book a little bit better, so I like that part of it. And overall, this book is such an emotional book to read, and the storyline is amazing, including the 2 sisters, Isabel and Vianne, and what they go through during World War II. It's just so amazing, emotional, beautiful to read. Definitely enlightening, I believe, as I've said before. I just feel like more people need to read it because it's just such a good book. If I haven't said that a lot already, I'm saying it again. I wish I could read this book again without having any knowledge of what happened, because if you have the chance to read the book, do yourself a huge favor, just go read it. You won't regret it, and if you do, I'm sorry. You brought that on yourself, I guess, but I'm influencing it, so I guess not really. So yeah, that's it. I love this book, if you couldn't tell already. It was so good. I thank my mom for recommending it to me, because I never would have picked it out if it wasn't for her recommending it, because I thought I was going to hate the book, but surprisingly, I did like it. It's not that long. It's probably 400 pages. It wasn't that bad to read. I'm probably lying. It's probably more than that, but I don't remember. It's not even that bad. You'll just get so involved with the book that you just have to keep reading and not put it down. So there's no issue with that, with how the length of it, because it doesn't matter. The storyline is what matters. So yeah. So in conclusion, do yourself a huge favor, like I said already, and go read the book. Just go do it. It's so good. I love it. And yeah, if you want any spoilers from the book, come talk to me, because I will spoil it if I haven't said that already. I know I have. I hope you enjoyed this book review on The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah. Bye, guys.